Why can't Janet sue you?
I'm invisible.
You're invisible? Why are you invisible?
So much H-O-S-T.
For this one, we're going back to 1977, Enfield, London, England, where Peggy Hodgson, a hard-working divorcee, is trying to make ends meet for her 4 children. Margaret, aged 13, Janet, aged 11, Bill, aged 7, and John, aged 11. They lived in a small rented semi-detached house, 284 Green Street, which between 1977 and 1979 they claim was the setting of extreme poltergeist activity. These claims included disembodied voices, thrown toys, levitating children, and overturned furniture. The activities would later be dramatised in a TV series of the same name and the second instalment of the Conjuring franchise.
Does it feel like the voice is coming from inside you?
More like it's coming from behind me.
The children would begin to complain to their mother about strange activity and noises in the night. As most parents would, Peggy first dismissed the claims as nonsense, until she witnessed it for herself on August 30th, 1977. In 2012, Janet was interviewed by ITV and reflected on this evening.
Well, me and my brother, we were settling down to bed one evening and we could hear this shuffling noise, and Mum coming because she could hear us shouting and screaming, and we said that the chest of drawers was moving towards the bedroom door. So she said, oh, don't be silly, but she see it move for herself. And then at one point she couldn't push it back. And then she got quite upset and said, right, everyone downstairs.
After ordering her children downstairs, Peggy left for a close friend and neighbour's house. Her neighbour came over and had a look around and was also scared away. With no other choice, they decided to call for police. The police later arrived and claimed that they witnessed an armchair levitating.
It came off the floor, or maybe a ½ inch, I should say, and I saw it slide off to the right, about 3.5 to 4 feet before it came to rest. I checked to see whether or not it could possibly slid along the floor. I placed a marble on the floor to see whether or not the marble would go in the same direction as the chair did, and it didn't roll at all. I checked for wires under the cushion of the chair and I could find no explanation at all.
As far as eyewitnesses goes, you would have thought the police would be pretty reliable. However, as no crime was being committed, the police said there was nothing they could do to help. The news of the haunting soon travelled, with paranormal investigators and journalists soon descending on the house. A BBC interview with Janet and Margaret even captured knocking.
These teenage sisters believe they're haunted by a poltergeist.
I was going to ask.
You can hear the knocking there as clean as day. Grosse and Playfair, for paranormal investigators, began an intensive investigation of the haunting, which included many hours of audio recordings. The first recording started off just as the BBC interview with knocking. However, the knocking soon became a method of communicating with the entity.
Can you tell me why you are upsetting this family? Is it because you enjoy doing it? You do enjoy doing it. Well, I suggest that now you've got... Now, what does that mean? Why have you done 3 knocks? Now, I ask you the question again. 2 knocks for yes, and 1 knock for no. Now, yes, that's right, you understand. Now, do you enjoy upsetting this family? You do? Well now, will you please go away? Because I think you've had enough of your jokes. You won't go away. But I would like you to go away, and go away because I think you've been upsetting this family long enough, and it's time you went away.
I would be out of there. Maurice also claims to have captured a photo of Janet levitating in the bedroom. The poltergeist was clearly gaining strength, and the interactions only became stranger and more terrifying. Just as a warning, for following audios are pretty scary at times. As if the barking wasn't creepy enough, the entity soon began to communicate through muffled growls. It even at one point calls Maurice by his name.
Let me hear you say my name again. Come on, let me hear you say my name.
That's not my name. Come on, my name's Maurice. Let me hear you say it.
Maurice.
The communication with the poltergeist became clearer and clearer, and this next audio clip really did make the hair stand up on the back of my neck.
You tell me whether you remember what happened to you when you died. Just before you died and just after you died.
Days before I died, I went blind. Then I had an hemorrhage and I fell asleep and I died in a chair in a corner downstairs.
In later recordings, Grosse would ask the entity why it was Janet that all of the activity tended to centre around.
Make Janet come in the room first.
Why did you have to make Janet come in the room first?
So she gets the blame.
So she gets the blame?
Yes.
Could you do it if Margaret came in the room first?
Might be out.
Or if Mrs. Hodgson came in the room first, could you do it then?
No, she's too old.
She's too old? Could you do it if I came in the room first?
No.
Well, what's age got to do with it? What difference does it make how old?
Take energy from young people, not old ones.
Oh, you only take energy?
Yes.
Why can't you take energy from old people?
I use it all in the day.
Pardon?
I use it all.
Oh, old people use more energy during the day. And do young people store it up then?
Yes.
How do you take their energy?
Electric shock.
You take it by electric shocks?
Mine.
Do you take electrical energy then?
Yes, I can.
I think these recordings are a good example of Maurice and Playfair's investigation of the evidence they collected. However, there is one more recording that I wanted to include, as it really did give me the shivers.
Do any friends go with you?
Yes, all of them. All the dogs, 68 dogs.
And what have you got 68 dogs for?
So that they can protect me from you killing me. They can bite your head off.
How can we kill you, Bill?
You can shoot me off.
Now how can we shoot you if we can't see you, Bill?
One man to God.
The recordings of Grosse and Playfair's investigations are in the custody of the Society of Physical Research in their archives in London. There are also some recordings from Ed and Loraine Warren's investigations. However, they don't really differ in the type of evidence brought forward, and they're not quite the quality of Grosse and Playfair's, so that's why I haven't included it. That famous photo of Janet levitating, well, apparently there's no paranormal activity happening here at all. Skeptics claim that this could easily be manipulated and show the child jumping off a bed. Apparently, the camera was being operated from outside the room, so the children were alone. And the camera was programmed to take a picture every 13 seconds. With Janet being a keen gymnast, this would have been well within our ability. Janet actually admitted once to Alan Radner, a journalist, who was noted for receiving an admission of tricks and pranks on 2 occasions. I asked Janet if she had ever played tricks for the benefit of investigators. "Oh yes," she replied, laughing. "I once hid a tape recorder and put some flower pots in the middle of the floor. Although Mr. Radnor would later go on to claim he has been misquoted on many occasions by people trying to prove the whole haunting was a hoax, he claims that after intense interviews with investigators and eyewitnesses, he fully believes that aspects of this haunting were paranormal. However, the admission does give a skeptic a lot of ammunition. If they're willing to falsify some of the sounds and noises recorded, what is a prank and what isn't? In that first BBC interview we watched with the knocking, at one point the reporter asked Janet what it's like being haunted.
How does it feel to be haunted by a poltergeist?
It's not haunted.
Why isn't it haunted?
I don't know.
Does it frighten you, the things that happen here?
Oh, well, it did first, but now I've got more used to it.
It appears that her sister shushes her and moves the conversation on quickly. Now, is Margaret doing this to prevent Janet from giving away the game and the whole thing being a hoax? Or is it just sisterly banter? Skeptics also argue for weight put on the audio recordings. From the investigations, almost all of the evidence is audio, and the evidence that isn't audio is eyewitness accounts. And eyewitness accounts can be notably unreliable. Research suggests that the power of suggestion allows people to see what they want to. If you go into a renowned haunted location, you're going to be hyper aware, and maybe the mind is helping us to connect the dots and see what we want to see. The Enfield case was highly publicised. Almost everyone in the country at the time had heard about it. And lastly, the other big argument that crops up is that Janet is using the false vocal cords, like they do in screamo music, to make the noise of an old man. Wow, too quickly. Look, I have been trying to make that noise and I cannot do it. It hurt a lot. I don't think an 11-year-old girl can make these noises without causing damage or even having a little sore throat. As we saw, there are hours and hours of recordings of this entity's voice. I did read that Maurice actually put up a £1,000 reward for anyone that could reproduce this sound with their false cords. And as far as I'm aware, nobody has. Levitating children aside, I do believe there was poltergeist activity at the Enfield house. To what extent the pranks went, I'm unsure, but I don't believe they made the whole thing up. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments below, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you when we take a look at another case.